Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Who's up for a spot of mid-tier action? Because it doesn't really get much more mid-tier than the M4 Sherman, American Tier 5 medium tank, driven for us today by Menthil from one of the Circumflexes clans. This, by the way, is the M4 Sherman with the 105mm howitzer. This is the Sherman Derp, and Menthil is running a 100% high explosive loadout. No gold ammo for him. To be completely fair, the gold ammunition on the M4 Sherman with the 105mm howitzer, the heat ammunition, it's not really that good. And it's certainly more cost effective to just use regular high explosive. In some circumstances, the high explosive will actually do damage where the heat just wouldn't. If you're firing into spaced armour or tracks, for example, the high explosive will at least do splash damage, whereas heat would do nothing. It's one of those incredibly rare situations where this tank in particular, well, and the Sherman Jumbo at tier 6, also with the 105mm howitzer, it's one of those rare examples where arguably the regular ammunition is better than the gold. Yeah, I said arguably, I didn't say definitely, so feel free to argue in the comments. Of course, now I've given you permission. Like, we don't need your permission to argue, Jingles. So, just to spite you, we're not going to. Yeah, I know how things work around here. While we're sitting here waiting for enemy tanks, I just want to draw your attention to that Stug there, camped up behind Menthil. That is almost as far forward as this Stug is going to make it this entire game. We're still waiting to spot some enemy tanks. We've got the T-34, the M4, there's a KV-1 moved up to the corner, and we finally... well, we don't actually have anything to shoot at just yet. Not until they poke out around the corner, and they're not going to do that until they've finished slaughtering the T-34 and the M4, who are just kind of sitting there, not moving, shooting at the tanks in front of them and getting shot back at. T-34's already dead. M4's going to be next. And then... oh, hang on, KV-1 coming out, and... yeah, I think that was a hit. Now, with both the T-34 and the M4 knocked out, we're just basically blazing away at the likely camping spots in the bushes, because with the KV-1 on the corner being the next closest tank, and the KV-1 being notoriously short-sighted, that T1 heavy managed to get halfway around the corner before he was even rendered visible. It was a good hit from Menthil, did a little damage but also blew his tracks off, and while he was sitting there immobilised, nobody shot at him. KV-1 on the corner, who at the moment is doing all of the spotting for the team on this side of the map, has taken severe damage and is probably not going to last an awful lot longer. And in any case, if your team's relying on a KV-1 to spot targets for you, something's gone wrong, because those things just have terrible view range, and the KV-1 is now dead, which means that Menthil is doing spotting not just for himself but also for the rest of his team, and his erstwhile backup and companion in the Stug has turned around and is making Billy Big Steps all the way back the way he came, leaving Menthil's arse hanging out in the breeze right here. And he knows he has to stay here because he's the only one spotting these enemy tanks for artillery and for the Stug. And falling back like that is not actually a terrible idea for the Stug, because the only cover and concealment here is this bush and that rock that Menthil is using. And it's not really big enough for him and the Stug. Unfortunately, it's also not big enough to protect Menthil from artillery like the Emperor Bishop. Menthil's in a really tough spot here. Luckily, he is getting support from the Stug and the friendly artillery, who know that if he dies, they're going to be next. And they're pouring the fire in, making life extremely interesting for any enemy tanks that threaten to push up this valley. I mean, I am under no illusions whatsoever, of course, that Menthil would love to be anywhere other than where he is right now. But he's kind of stuck here. I mean, if he tried to get out, he'd be spotted and dead before he'd gone 50 metres. I mean, look at this. He's actually trying to get into the rock. As artillery shells rain down all around him. Yeah, there's probably any number of different places he'd rather be in this battle other than where he is. But this is where he is. He's kind of stuck here until they deal with the enemy tanks down at the other end of the valley. And so he's just going to have to dig in and make the most of it. The team aren't doing too well, but it's not really a collapse just yet. They still have some tanks alive and dug in on the other side of the map, and of course Menthol himself is down here anchoring the defence on this side of the map, but the middle of the map is looking kind of open and could be problematic, particularly since the T1 Heavy managed to get up onto the ridge overlooking the middle. And they just lost another tank, so the western flank is starting to look very weak as well. Artillery, well, Menthol can't count on all of the artillery support anymore because they're going to be looking very nervously over in the direction of the OI Experimental, who is now the last surviving tank on that side of the map. Menthol playing a very dangerous game of chicken with whoever's left alive at that end of the map. Come on, keep spotting the KV-1. And the Stug is taking shots at him, as is at least one of the artillery. That was very unlucky not to kill him. There goes another artillery shot. I'm pretty sure the KV-1 hasn't actually spotted Menthol. It's highly unlikely to be able to spot anything at that range, and the artillery has taken him out. Menthol was just keeping him spotted. Crap, there goes a Panzer IV. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Set him on fire. That's either a premium fire extinguisher or a very, very fast finger on the fire extinguisher key, and he's managed to take the Panzer IV out. However, he did get spotted, so he's hugging that rock. Yep, there's the shot. I don't know if that was the Bishop or the but they know he's still there, and they're anxious to finish the job they started. Well, there's the return of the T1 Heavy, although judging by what happened to all of the KV-1s that tried to push up that valley, he's probably not too keen on pushing his luck. There was a Stug up there with him, however. There's also a Wolverine on the enemy team that hasn't been spotted by anybody yet. I get the impression that Menthol is lulling himself into a false sense of security here, assuming that just because they can't see him, they've forgotten he's there. Newsflash, they haven't. And that hit from the has just confirmed that the Bishop isn't the only enemy artillery sitting down the bottom end of that valley, anxious to put an end to his existence. Then again, the T1 Heavy is kind of in the same situation. And as long as he's hiding behind the rock, Menthol decides, screw it, I'm not sitting behind this rock and bush waiting to get nickel and dimed to death by the enemy artillery. Now's the chance to make a break for it, especially since that OI Experimental over there does not look like he's going to last much longer. He should be artillery safe here. He can cover the middle of the map. Maybe he can help the OI Experimental, and if he has to, he can turn around very quickly and deal with any threats emerging from the valley that he was originally defending. Unfortunately, things are going to start going just a little bit wrong before they start getting any better, starting with this shot at the Panzer IV. He misses. The OI Experimental hits him and blows his tracks off. Panzer IV doesn't repair. That shot barely even lands in the same postcode, which means that the Panzer IV survives to get the killing shot off at the OI Experimental and manages to repair his tracks and pull back into cover before Menthol could get a third shot away. Note, the Stug has pulled right back to cover that other flank, which means there is now nobody watching down here. Menthol's spider senses tingling, or any of these enemy tanks feeling brave? And the answer is yes, it's the enemy Stug. We haven't seen him for a while. Snaps a shot off, it sails right over the top of his fighting compartment. On the plus side, doesn't take a return hit. Hello artillery, there's something coming. If you'd like to swing your gun barrels around and help me out here, I'll try to spot them again for you. Oh, he got the Stug with a snapshot, but there's the T1 Heavy. It's fairly safe to say that he now has artillery's attention. Unfortunately, he also has the T1 Heavy's attention, and he does take a hit, which damages his ammo rack. He uses his repair kit. What happens next, I'm going to have to freeze frame because it happens so quickly. Watch this. Watch how unlucky this T1 gets. He's just been hit by artillery, and you can see how his tracks have been blown off. If you look to the rear of the tank, just below the rear sprocket, you can see the tracks lying there on the ground. This guy is very fast on his repair kit. A little bit too fast. And there, do you see his tracks going back up? Yeah. Can you guess what happens next? Yep, tracks immediately blown off again, immobilised, turret and therefore gun, obscured, so unable to defend himself, and dead. If he had been a tenth of a second slower in hitting his repair key, he would have almost certainly still died, but he would have been able to get a shot into Menthol, which means Menthol would be dead. The T1 wouldn't have killed him, its gun doesn't have the alpha damage. No, that would have killed him. Yeah, it's that bishop again. While we're on the subject of that bishop, I just want to go back and go through that artillery shot in greater detail. We're going back to when he was dueling with the crippled T1 Heavy. He's been spotted, takes 3 seconds for 6 cents to go off, the T1's dead, and he starts backing up. A dead tank can still spot you for a few seconds after it's been killed. So there's a good 3 or 4 seconds of backing up to go undetected again. 6 cents has not gone off again. He is unspotted, and he still gets hit by the bishop. That was a 1 in the million blind shot from the bishop. The first time I watched this, I thought, oh, he's going to die now. The Wolverine must be down here. The Wolverine was spotting him for artillery, but no, 6 cents didn't go off. And if the Wolverine was down here, why didn't he take the shot? The Wolverine isn't here. That was just a 1 in a million blind shot from the bishop. And there's the Lefebvre as well. And of course, Menthol isn't stopping in the open to aim at either of those two. He's getting in the cover. And again, he's pretty much on his own down here. I mean, he's going to be able to rely on artillery support, but for that he's going to have to respot the 2 enemy artillery, the bishop and the Lefebvre. The Stug is still back at the base, backstopping against the enemy Panzer IV, who's over there somewhere as well. Menthol risks a quick look, doesn't hang around, and 6 cents doesn't go off. Okay, tries his luck again. 6 cents still doesn't go off. Then again, these 2 artillery have already demonstrated that they're perfectly willing and able to take blind shots, and in the case of the bishop, it should be capable of lobbing a shot over that rock. And that's probably exactly where they're expecting him to pop up, so he relocates, tries again from this side, and there's the bishop. Oh, and it wasn't enough to kill him, but he should be safe. Ooh, then again, maybe not. Time to become one with the rock. Make the rock your waifu. He's definitely gone undetected again. There's some friendly artillery fire coming in, but now they're expecting him to pop up around this side. So, hey, let's not do that, shall we? They wouldn't even have to hit him. I mean, we're talking low-tier artillery here. It doesn't have particularly good splash radius, but he doesn't have enough health left to take any kind of chances. Oh, it looks like the Stug's won the fight with the enemy Panzer IV-H, so that's good news. Poking his nose around the other side, again, waiting to see if 6 cents goes off. Friendly artillery's moved right up to support him on the corner. Possibly a little too close. But when a game's coming down to the wire like this, that's the kind of artillery support you want. That Griller is going to make damn sure he's got a firing arc to cover anything that Menthol spots over here. And oh, there's the Wolverine. Straight up the middle, just like the Panzer IV earlier. The Stug's waiting for him though, as is the other artillery. Oh, they've got him. Okay. Well, that's taken some of the pressure off. Just the 3 artillery to go, and we know where at least 2 of them were. Somebody, however, is going to have to take their brave pills and go and spot them. And Menthol, I think that somebody is you. Oh, wait, no, there's the bishop. The Griller's got him. Now that is the kind of artillery player that you want on your team when it's coming down to the wire like this. Where's the Lefebvre? And for that matter, the AMX-13. I hope that Griller's moving because he will have gotten spotted. And the Lefebvre is a very, very accurate and fast-firing artillery. The other thing that makes it particularly dangerous in a situation like this is the fact that it has an unnerfed view range of 390 meters, which means it's entirely capable of spotting its own targets. And it's taken out the Griller. Well, that was a shame. He was a good teammate to have. The fact that he was able to kill the Griller, of course, doesn't really tell us a huge amount about his possible location, because he does have a 390 meter view range. Yeah, I know, it is absurd. But it's a premium vehicle, and they didn't mess around with its stats when they nerfed view range across the board several patches ago. That's going to be really bad news for Menthol here as well, of course, because he's going to have to try to spot something that can outspot a Tier 8 light tank. There's a low-tier map in World of Tanks, I can't remember what it's called, it's been so long since I've seen it, where both teams start on opposite sides of slopes leading down to a valley with a sort of town in the middle. That artillery can actually spot the entire enemy team from the spawn. Oh, there's the AMX-13. Yep, not AFK, just, you know, kind of crap. Hasn't basically left the spawn since the start of the match, which explains why he hasn't killed anything. He did spot Menthol, however, and his arsehole is probably puckering 50 to the dozen right now, and probably the only reason he's still alive is because the Lefer still has his gun barrel pointing up the valley in the direction of where he killed the Grilla earlier. Although he's probably turning around right now, and in fact, yep, there it is. I just heard the blind shot. It landed somewhere behind Menthol. Definitely a blind shot, however. The Stug's lying there just waiting for him. Oh, crap, Menthol got spotted. There's a handy rock. Hug the rock. Make the rock your waifu. Yeah, he's definitely aiming this way. But that Stug is poised up there, just waiting to leap as soon as the Lefer gets spotted, so Menthol pops out. And he's only going to see him when he fires, and there it is, and he missed the shot. The Stug's gunning his engine and moving forward. The artillery are charging forward and trying to get the kill. But it's Menthol who reloads faster than the French Tier 5 premium artillery and finally gets the kill that he so richly deserved. And that was one hell of a tense match. And a thoroughly well-deserved ace tanker and mark of mastery for Menthol in the M4 Sherman, without a single round of gold ammunition loaded or, in fact, even needed. Well done, Menthol. Extremely well played. Thank you for sending that one in. Everybody else, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, because that's it for today. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.